You think she's gone for good, but let me tell you, the story isn't over yet. In fact, she's watching you right now, silently deciding whether she made the right choice walking away. And there's one thing you can do that will make her come back. Not maybe, but 100%. When a breakup happens, most people think it's like flipping a switch. One moment you're together, the next moment you're not, and everything just shuts off. But that's not how human emotions work, especially for a woman who was once deeply invested in you. Even if she's the one who ended things, even if she walked away with confidence and a straight face, there is always a part of her mind and heart that doesn't close the door completely. She may smile in public, she may post pictures as if she's happier than ever, she may even tell her friends she feels free. But late at night, in the silence when no one is watching, there are moments when her mind drifts back to you. She replays conversations. She remembers the way you used to look at her. She wonders if maybe, just maybe, she made the wrong choice. That's the thing about real connection. It doesn't just vanish the moment someone decides to walk away. Her feelings don't die instantly because emotions aren't logical. You can't reason them into disappearing, no matter how much pride or ego is involved. When a woman has spent months or years of her life with you, you're not just a person in her story. You're a chapter, a home, a comfort zone. She has built memories, inside jokes, shared experiences that no one else in her life fully understands. Even if the relationship ended on a bad note, the brain doesn't delete the good moments. It stores them, and those stored moments come back at the most unexpected times. When she hears a certain song, walks past a place you went together, or smells the cologne you used to wear. These moments trigger emotions she thought she had under control. That's why, even after she leaves, there's still a part of her that's connected to you on an emotional level she can't deny. In the beginning, after a breakup, she might be more focused on the reasons she left. She might list in her mind all the things that frustrated her, all the arguments, all the flaws she saw in you. This is her way of convincing herself she made the right choice. But over time, something happens. The pain and anger fade, and what's left are the things that once made her love you. Her mind starts comparing the new reality with the old one. And if her new reality doesn't give her the same depth, the same spark, the same feeling of being understood that she had with you, that's when doubt starts creeping in. It's not an overnight shift. It's a slow process. A thought here, a memory there, until one day she finds herself wondering if she really made the right decision. And here's what most men don't realize. This wondering is natural, but it's also fragile. If she sees you begging, pleading, or trying to convince her right after the breakup, it actually kills this natural curiosity before it even has a chance to grow. But if you step back, if you give her space, if you focus on becoming a stronger version of yourself, you're giving her the room to feel that doubt in her own time, without you interfering. The absence starts to speak louder than any words you could say. She begins to notice the difference between having you in her life and not having you. And because she still carries pieces of her feelings for you, those differences don't just go unnoticed. They stir something inside her that makes her question the choice she made. One of the fastest ways to push someone away after a breakup is to start begging, chasing, and flooding their phone with messages. It might feel natural in the moment because you're running on pure emotion. You want to fix things, you want them to understand how much they mean to you, and you believe that if you just explain enough or show enough love, they'll change their mind. But attraction doesn't work that way. In fact, doing this has the opposite effect of what you hope for. Every message you send that says, "Please talk to me," or "I can't live without you," is not making them feel valued. It's making them feel pressured. When someone feels pressure instead of desire, they start to pull back even more. It's not because they're cold or heartless. It's because human attraction is fueled by curiosity, mystery, and respect. When you start chasing too hard, you strip away all three of those things. Think about it from their perspective. If you've broken up with someone and they're constantly showing up in your inbox, calling you, or liking every single thing you post, it doesn't create space to miss them. Instead, it creates the feeling that you can't breathe without them being right there. This communicates one powerful yet dangerous message: my life is empty without you. And while that might feel romantic to you, it doesn't inspire attraction in them. It triggers a loss of respect. Why? Because respect comes from knowing someone values themselves. And when you chase relentlessly, you're showing that you value them far more than you value yourself. That imbalance kills the very foundation of attraction. The harder you chase, the faster they run. This is because human nature is wired to appreciate what we have to earn or what we can lose. When something is constantly in front of us without effort, it stops feeling special. It becomes ordinary. And in relationships, the more ordinary you seem, the less urgency there is to keep you. That's why over-texting is such a silent killer. Every time you send a just checking in or thinking about you message after they've already made it clear they need space, you're reinforcing the idea that you're waiting around, hoping, and ready to take them back at any moment. There's no challenge. There's no reason for them to wonder what you're doing, who you're with, or how you're feeling, because you've made yourself emotionally transparent and easily available. What most people don't realize is that attraction thrives in the unknown. When someone doesn't hear from you, they wonder where you are, what you're doing, and whether you're thinking about them. That wondering creates emotional tension, and that tension is what fuels curiosity. But when you remove all the mystery by flooding them with calls and texts, you remove the tension entirely. It's like reading the ending of a book before the middle. There's nothing left to discover. This is why many people notice that when they finally stop reaching out, the other person starts to reappear. It's not magic, it's human psychology. When you beg and chase, you're also putting them on a pedestal while lowering your own position. Instead of showing them you're a strong, independent person who can stand alone, you're showing them that your sense of self-worth depends entirely on their presence in your life. This not only makes you less attractive, but it also confirms to them that leaving was the right decision because you haven't demonstrated emotional strength. If you truly want attraction to grow again, you have to do the opposite of chasing. You have to give space, hold back, and focus on making yourself a person worth missing. When they see that you're not desperate for their attention, it shifts the power dynamic. You move from being the one chasing to being the one they're curious about. And curiosity is the spark that reignites attraction. After a breakup, the single most powerful thing you can do is to transform yourself in a way that she can't ignore. Understand this: if she looks at you months later and sees the exact same man she walked away from, there is no reason for her to question her decision. The breakup will feel justified in her mind because nothing has changed. But if she sees a man who has grown, evolved, and risen to a higher level, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and socially, that is when doubt begins to creep into her thoughts. Women are naturally drawn to strength, confidence, and progress. When you show that you are not stuck in the past, but are becoming a stronger version of yourself, it sends a signal that she may have underestimated you. That signal can be far more powerful than any words you could say. Transformation is not just about going to the gym, although physical improvement is a part of it. It's about upgrading every area of your life. It's about becoming a man with a vision, with purpose, with discipline. This means setting clear goals for your career, your finances, and your personal growth. It means surrounding yourself with people who elevate you instead of dragging you down. It means developing emotional control so you're not reactive, needy, or desperate, but calm and self-assured. When she left, she might have thought you'd spiral downward, lose yourself, or waste away in heartbreak. But when she sees you using that pain as fuel to become sharper, stronger, and more successful, it challenges the image she has of you. It makes her think, if he can grow this much without me, what will he become in another year? This kind of transformation does not go unnoticed. Even if you're not in direct contact, your progress will show through your energy, your appearance, and the way others talk about you. Mutual friends might mention your achievements, your social media might reflect a new lifestyle, and your overall presence will give off a different kind of confidence. Confidence that doesn't scream for attention but naturally commands it. This subtle shift in how you carry yourself is often more impactful than any direct attempt to get her back, because it doesn't come from a place of trying to prove something to her. It comes from a place of genuinely wanting to become better for yourself. What's important to understand is that transformation must be real, not an act. Women can sense when you're faking change just to lure them back. That's why this process has to be about you first, not her. If you make her the reason for your transformation, the change will crumble if she doesn't respond the way you want. But if you make yourself the reason, if your growth comes from self-respect and self-love, then your progress becomes unstoppable. And ironically, that's the exact thing that reignites attraction. Because the man who grows for himself, who lives with purpose, and who isn't obsessed with winning her back is the man she starts to notice again. When she left, she might have expected to see you waiting around, stuck in the same patterns, maybe even becoming a smaller version of yourself. Instead, you become a living example of resilience. You show her, without words, that you can turn loss into fuel, heartbreak into strength, and endings into new beginnings. That image of transformation is powerful because it shifts the dynamic completely. She's no longer looking at the man she left. She's looking at the man she might regret losing. When a relationship ends, it's easy to let yourself fall apart. You might feel the urge to isolate, neglect your health, ignore your ambitions, and live in the shadow of what happened. But the truth is, the period after a breakup is the most important time to rebuild, not for her, but for yourself. And the rebuild has to be complete. You can't just focus on one area and ignore the rest. You have to grow in all four pillars: physical, financial, emotional, and social. When you elevate yourself in these areas, you not only become stronger and more attractive, but you also step into a version of yourself that commands respect from everyone, including the person who left. Physically, you have to take control of your health and appearance. This doesn't mean becoming obsessed with looks for superficial reasons, but rather understanding that the way you treat your body reflects the way you value yourself. A strong, fit, and healthy body changes how you carry yourself, how you feel, and how others perceive you. Going to the gym, eating right, improving your posture, and grooming yourself well. These things might seem small, but they add up to a powerful visual shift. When she sees that you've built yourself physically, it's not just about the muscles or the aesthetics. It's about the discipline and self-respect those changes represent. Financially, you have to move with purpose. Money isn't everything, but financial stability and ambition are deeply connected to security and confidence. A man who knows how to manage his resources, grow his income, and plan for the future gives off an energy of stability. You don't have to become a millionaire overnight, but you do have to take steps toward independence and control over your financial life, whether it's starting a side hustle, advancing in your career, or learning new skills that increase your value. Every move you make toward financial strength builds your confidence and raises your status in the eyes of others. Emotionally, you need to develop resilience. This is where most men fail after a breakup because they let emotions control them instead of learning to control their emotions. Emotional strength means you don't break down every time life throws a challenge at you. It means you can process pain, learn from it, and use it to grow. It's about understanding yourself, managing stress, and not letting rejection define your worth. When you become emotionally strong, you're not easily swayed by other people's actions. This calm, stable energy is incredibly attractive because it shows you're in control of yourself, no matter what's happening around you. Socially, you must expand your world. One of the biggest mistakes after a breakup is shrinking your circle and isolating yourself. Instead, you should be meeting new people, building new connections, and surrounding yourself with those who inspire and challenge you. A strong social life shows that you are valued by others, that you are interesting, and that you are not sitting in the corner waiting for someone to validate you. When you're socially active, your energy changes. You're more engaged, more confident, and more magnetic. People naturally want to be around someone who is surrounded by good company and positive energy. When all four of these areas start to rise together, something powerful happens. Your identity shifts. You stop being the man defined by the breakup and start being the man defined by his growth. And when she sees this complete transformation, when she notices that you've built yourself up physically, financially, emotionally, and socially, it challenges every assumption she made when she walked away. Disappearing from her emotional radar is one of the most strategic and powerful moves you can make after a breakup, but it has to be done with the right intention and mindset. This isn't about punishing her, trying to make her jealous, or playing childish games. It's about removing yourself from the emotional spotlight in her life so that her feelings have room to breathe. When you stay too present after a breakup, constantly texting, calling, commenting, or trying to get her attention, you rob her of the space needed to actually feel your absence. And without that space, she never gets the opportunity to miss you or to reflect on what life was like with you compared to without you. The reason disappearing from her emotional radar is so effective is because human beings naturally place more value on what they notice they've lost. When you step back completely, you create a void, and a void demands to be filled, not instantly, but over time. At first, she may not notice your silence because she's caught up in the emotions of the breakup, maybe even feeling a temporary sense of relief. But as days and weeks go by, that silence begins to speak louder. She realizes you're not reaching out. You're not seeking her validation. You're not orbiting her world the way she expected. This shift unsettles her because it disrupts the power dynamic she had in her mind. The key here is that disappearing doesn't mean blocking her or cutting her off in a dramatic way. Blocking often comes across as anger or bitterness, which keeps you emotionally reactive in her eyes. You want the opposite, to appear calm, composed, and focused on your own life. Disappearing without blocking means you remain accessible but entirely unavailable emotionally. You stop initiating contact, you avoid unnecessary interaction, and you focus your attention on building your own world. If she reaches out, you respond with politeness but without overinvestment. This way, you don't come across as playing games. You come across as a man who is genuinely busy creating a better life. What most men get wrong is thinking that disappearing means doing nothing. It's not just about absence. It's about what you do with that absence. While you're off her emotional radar, you're working on yourself, physically improving, building financial stability, strengthening emotional resilience, and expanding your social life. You're becoming a man whose presence feels even more valuable when it returns. If all you do is disappear but stay stagnant, the impact is minimal. But when you disappear and simultaneously transform, you return with a version of yourself she hasn't seen before, and that contrast is what makes her take notice. There's also a psychological advantage to disappearing without drama. It removes you from her daily emotional routine. Right now, she might be expecting you to react, to chase, to beg, or to linger around her in some way. When you don't give her that reaction, it disrupts her expectations and creates curiosity. That curiosity slowly grows into a question. Why isn't he chasing me? Why isn't he trying to fix this? And that question is far more powerful than any message you could send. It plants a seed of doubt in her mind about the breakup, and that doubt grows in the quiet space you've created. By disappearing from her emotional radar without cutting her off entirely, you give yourself the best chance to shift her perception. She's no longer looking at you through the lens of desperation or emotional chaos. Instead, she sees someone who values himself enough to step away gracefully, someone who doesn't need to prove anything, and someone who might just be too busy living a meaningful life to sit around waiting. Curiosity is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology, and when it comes to relationships, it can be the invisible thread that pulls someone back toward you. After a breakup, most people destroy curiosity by oversharing, posting every detail of their life online, sending constant updates, or directly telling their ex how they feel. But curiosity thrives in mystery. The less she knows about your current life, the more her mind starts to fill in the gaps, and the more she wonders what you're doing, who you're with, and how you're feeling. That wondering becomes a pull she can't fully control, and it's often the first step toward reigniting her attraction. When she doesn't hear from you, at first she might assume you're sitting around thinking about her, waiting for her to come back. But as time passes and she sees no signs of desperation, her mind begins to question that assumption. Is he actually moving on? Is he happier now? Has he found something better? These questions are powerful because they challenge her sense of certainty about the breakup. Certainty is what allows people to walk away and not look back, but when curiosity creeps in, certainty begins to crack. Once those cracks appear, she starts paying more attention to any little clue about you, whether it's through mutual friends, glimpses on social media, or accidental encounters. The key to creating this curiosity is not to fake it or try to manipulate her into wondering. It's to genuinely start thriving without her. If you try to pretend you're happy while secretly obsessing over her, that energy will show and it will feel forced. True curiosity is sparked when she can sense that you are genuinely focused on yourself, improving your health, working on your career, building your social life, and living with purpose. When she sees that your life is not only moving forward, but actually accelerating, she starts to wonder how you're doing it without her. That wonder can slowly transform into admiration, and admiration is a direct gateway back to attraction. Another reason curiosity is so effective is because it activates her emotions without direct contact. When you try to convince her to come back with words, she can resist because she feels pressured. But when curiosity works on her silently, she can't push it away as easily. It lingers in the back of her mind, growing every time she sees or hears something about you that doesn't match the image she had in her head. If she expected you to be broken and she finds out you're glowing, fit, and surrounded by new people, it unsettles her. That's when the "what if I made a mistake" thought starts to surface. Curiosity also works best when you combine it with subtle exposure. You don't have to block her or disappear entirely from the world. In fact, You want her to have just enough access to get glimpses of your growth without getting the full picture. That might mean posting a photo from a new activity, showing that you're out with friends, or casually highlighting achievements without making it seem like you're trying to prove something. The goal is to let her see fragments of your thriving life, not the full story. The less she knows, the more she'll want to know, and the more she wants to know, the more she'll be drawn back into your world. When you master the art of living fully for yourself while leaving just enough room for her to notice, curiosity will do the heavy lifting for you. It becomes the quiet magnet that works in the background, slowly pulling her attention back to you without force or pressure, making her question whether letting you go was truly the best decision. A woman doesn't come back because you tell her to or because you explain why she should. Words alone rarely change someone's mind after they've decided to leave. What truly pulls her back is the feeling that she's missing out on something valuable, something she once had but no longer does. Human nature is wired to value what feels scarce and to want what seems just out of reach. When she feels that life with you was better than life without you, not because you told her, but because she can see and feel the difference, that's when the desire to return begins to grow. The mistake many men make is trying to convince her with logic. They try to reason with her, reminding her of the good times, apologizing for mistakes, and promising change. But logic doesn't spark attraction. Emotion does. And the emotion that drives her back is a mix of curiosity, nostalgia, and the fear of losing something she now realizes was special. This emotional shift only happens when she's allowed to experience life without you and begins to see the contrast. If you're constantly chasing, begging, or explaining yourself, you're not letting her feel that absence. You're actually giving her the comfort of knowing you're still there, ready to take her back at any moment, which kills any urgency she might feel. To make her feel like she's missing out, you have to stop being the man who's always available and start being the man who's busy living a life worth missing. This means building yourself up in every area, physically, financially, emotionally, and socially. When she sees you looking better, achieving more, and enjoying life with people who respect and value you, it forces her to compare that version of you to the version she left. If the man she's observing now is stronger, happier, and more fulfilled, she'll start questioning whether she walked away from something she can't easily replace. It's important to understand that the fear of missing out isn't triggered by jealousy alone. While jealousy can play a role, the deeper pull comes from the realization that your value has increased. If she believed that you needed her to be complete, but now she sees that you are thriving without her, it challenges the way she views herself in your story. People want to be connected to rising energy, and if you're showing that you're on an upward path, she'll feel a stronger pull to be part of that journey. This pull doesn't come from anything you say directly to her. It comes from what she observes from a distance. Another reason she feels like she's missing out is when she realizes you've taken your attention and energy, two of the most valuable things you can give, and invested them elsewhere. You're no longer pouring them into her, you're pouring them into your own life and into people who reciprocate and appreciate you. That shift in energy changes the dynamic completely. It's no longer her rejecting you, it's her realizing that she might be the one who's now on the outside. And that position creates discomfort, which naturally makes her consider stepping back in. When she comes back under these circumstances, it's not because you begged her to reconsider or because you convinced her with promises. It's because she's looking at your life, feeling the absence of the role she once played, and realizing that the version of you she's seeing now is not easily replaceable. The more she sees that you're growing, elevating, and moving forward without slowing down for her, the more she'll feel that sting of missing out. And that feeling is what will push her to close the gap between you again,